Okay, Tito Rodriguez, we were going to have you teach us a little bit about the turkey and elk calls.
Okay, I have a little diaphragm that I use religiously.
What is a diaphragm?
A diaphragm is you put in your mouth and you blow into it and you make the several sounds. And the amount of pressure that you put on there determines what sounds you make.
And do you know what they're made of?
It's a rubber latex for the call, and this is just latex, like a rubberized latex.
Maybe we can suggest the best ones in your opinion later on.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I will make a few sounds with the turkey, then I make a couple of sounds with the elk, and my first sound will be a couple of sounds with the turkey. And my other sound will be like they're feeding. And that's basically your turkeys. And then the elk, I can make a elk sound with the same call. I don't need various calls. And basically that's the extent of the calls until we get more technical.
How long did it take you to do that?
It took me about a month to get acclimated to using the call.
Cool.
But the first time I tried it, I actually put it down for a week and I gave up, and then I went back and picked it up, started making a god-awful noise, and then I just started practicing.
Do you have to, is it best to listen to that kind of stuff and watch turkeys in the wild?
Yes, and I've done that various occasions. I've gone up to the mountains and I've watched them and I listen for the sounds they make. They make all kinds of sounds, and the elk also, they make various sounds, and I try to emulate them.
So do they make recordings that somebody
Yes.
could use for practice?
Right, yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Most of the stuff I learned, I picked up on my own as I went out into the mountains and listened to them.
Cool.
And I've never used a recorder or nothing. Everything I use, I learned by listening to the animals themselves.
Cool. And it's been successful for you.
Oh yes, I've killed many elk and lots of turkeys.
Cool. And it's for eating, not for trophy.
I'm not a trophy hunter. I'm a meat hunter. I feed myself. I feed my relatives and my family.
I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, in the 21st century, why would I possibly want to learn something like this? You know, we live in a society where when you ask most kids today where does food come from, they're going to say from the supermarket. Very few people still know how to grow anything, how to hunt anything, how to prepare their own game after they killed it. And there's something I talk about in trying to prepare people for the worst case scenario. I teach disaster preparedness. There's something called the black swan effect. People say, well, nothing bad happened yesterday and nothing bad has happened today, so nothing bad is going to happen tomorrow. Most people don't realize that we're 3 days away from starvation. If something happens, the trucks stop running, they stop delivering meat and vegetables and other food stuff to your local grocery stores. Within 3 days, people are going to be without food. Our grandparents and our great-grandparents, they knew how to can, they knew how to grow food, they knew how to hunt, they knew how to cure meats. But all these things are lost skills. And again, you know, tomorrow, God willing, nothing bad is going to happen, just like nothing bad has happened so far today. But what happens if we have a natural disaster? What happens if you live like we do here in Florida, where we have hurricanes come through? I've personally been 3 to 4 weeks without electricity before. And the first time you experience that, no matter how much you prepare for it, it's a shock. When you grow up in a world where you can flip a light switch and electricity comes on, when you're hot or you're cold and you can change the thermostat till you're comfortable. When you're put in a situation where you don't have those accommodations anymore, you need to be prepared to deal with it.
Well, I think that when we talk in today's zombie apocalypse thing, people are under a misconception that the zombie apocalypse is a vampire kind of thing. They don't realize that that can be what you just talked about.
Right.
And people, what I think that the most important thing is to never underestimate the other person, and understand that desperate times create desperate situations that create people that are no longer thinking with a logical brain. They're thinking about survival. That's food and drink.
Well, why is the zombie apocalypse scenario so popular now? We have movies, we have the Walking Dead on TV series that's been running for 7 or 8 seasons now. It resonates with people, and why is that? Well, what is a zombie? A zombie is someone who is dead that doesn't do anything but mindlessly consume. That's a great metaphor for modern society. You have people that all they do is they consume, and they don't think about tomorrow. They know nothing about yesterday. They've forgotten their history. And we see again, time and time again, when you have a disaster situation, a major metropolitan area, New York City, if you have a brownout where you have electricity goes off in different places, or God forbid a blackout where there's no electricity at all at night, all hell breaks loose. It reverts back to a warlike tribal society where people are killing one another. Imagine that happening throughout the entire country for weeks or months or years at a time. And there's a lot of ways in which that could happen. An electromagnetic pulse attack by our many enemies in the world, all it would take would be a low-yield nuclear explosion somewhere over the eastern seaboard, and we would have no electricity for months or possibly years. And again, if you know how to hunt, if you know how to call turkeys, you know, that sounds kind of silly. I mean, here you are making all those weird noises. You're like, well, why on earth would I want to do something like that? If you're starving to death, that makes a whole lot of sense.
And it's not just calling, it's not just shooting, it's preparing.
Now,
How many people can do that?
how hard is it to sneak up on a turkey?
Well, and
I imagine
turkeys,
it's pretty difficult.
they're
isn't it?
some of the smartest animals on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. And every time I've hunted a turkey, it's been work.
Right.
So, and the simplest of things, it seems very simple. I kill a turkey and I take the feathers out of it and I gut it, but what are they talking about? And when it comes to that kind of stuff, this is the education that could very well keep you and your family alive. And is it that far off? Is it that weird that we might think about that? I'm a survivalist as well. And there's a lot of this that I understand, a lot of it that I can do. The killing part is the easy part.
Right.
Pulling the trigger is the easy part. It's getting the animal there to kill, number one, understanding that there's more to it, and what's there besides the meat that nobody even thinks about. The tools that come from the animal. So this part of the program is as important as any of the other parts that we're ever going to talk about, because this is where survival starts. So we have to understand the history of it. We have to understand the mechanics of it, the tools of it. And the only way we're going to do that is for us to sit down together, have Mark's intellect with your practical experience, and hopefully somebody that'll think outside the box every once in a while and ask a question that's not so stupid.
Right.
So that's why we're here. We're here collectively to help everybody understand that you've got to get involved today. You've got to understand today. And not everybody in the world is going to be your best friend when the crap hits the fan. Understand that when it gets really bad, those people that were hugging you one day are going to be hunting you the next. So you've got to understand that part of it. Understand that there are people that can teach you how to survive with weapons and tactics and skill sets for that. There are people that can teach you how to harvest an animal, how to harvest food out of the ground. What can you eat in the woods besides the animal you killed? What's there that's harvestable that can help you survive? And how do you survive the bad weather? How do you survive the bad people? How do you survive the mental anguish that's going to come along with it?
Right.
Cool stuff.
And we're not just talking about how to survive, how to be a survivalist. we're also talking about learning how to appreciate life,
Yes.
appreciate where we came from, the Native American rich culture. The Native Americans, they had a relationship with the game animals because, in a very real sense, their lives depended on them. They clothed themselves with the things they killed. They fed their families with the things they killed. So there was a respect for it. Modern society, when you get your meat out of a sterile package from Publix, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that that was a living thing that died so that you could live. And if you actually have the experience of hunting something and killing it and cooking it and preparing it yourself, it'll give you a little bit more of that understanding on a philosophical level that you exist, and in your existence, you are doing so because other things die. And that kind of puts you in a sense of perspective in the world. It makes you have a little bit more of an appreciation for the things that you have. And hopefully it helps us be better stewards of our environment. Now there's a lot of people that the idea of hunting, killing an animal, that's barbaric, that's something horrible you shouldn't do. But again, it's just because I think they lose sight of that fact that by your very existence, you're taking the life of other things to exist. Right now, every one of us, our bodies are killing tens of millions of microscopic organisms that would kill us first if our immune systems let them. So philosophically, it makes you appreciate things more. It makes you appreciate your life more.
And something else that's important that we have to pay attention to is the team that we build when we're building a survival group or an educational group. Is it just, we're not going to just teach you about animals and food that we can gather to survive with. We're going to teach you the skill set of appreciating each other, of appreciating the bonds between warriors, of appreciating what a family really is, and appreciating the fact that as we build this team, this family, it's about the days when we used to break bread together.
Right.
We just did that. We sat down, we had a conversation, and after the conversation, we forced Mark to make us food, and it was fantastic, but it builds family. We're not just people existing in a space, we care about each other. This isn't a group of people. International Chrysalis is about education, it's about children, it's about understanding why we care so much about the veterans that have sacrificed so much to build our country and create what we've got here. We take so much for granted. It's a time to stop taking people for granted, to stop worrying about ourselves and understand that we are our brother's keepers. We have to care about each other or the world won't survive. The day that we stop caring about each other, the day that we stop making a difference in each other's world and making the world a better place for young people, because they are our future. You're our future. I don't have any blood children of my own, but I've got thousands and thousands of kids that call me dad around the world through my martial arts programs and through my educational programs. That comes from the fact that they know when I step on a stage, it's not about me, it's about you. It's about caring, about hoping that you understand that I love you, and because I love you, I'll do anything to help you survive. And that's why we're here. We want you to feel that, we want you to experience that, we want you to come to our events, we want you to not only listen to what we have to say, give us a hug when we're done, care about us, understand that this group really cares about what the future is going to be for you. My time is almost up. I'm going to be 69 years old this year. I'm not a child. And I'm in a hurry to help you understand the intricacies that helped me make it this far. I want you to make it this far and farther. And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yes.
And Mark, you're a young man.
Not as young as I used to be.
Not as young as you used to be. But we care. And the only way we're going to do this is to help you understand better where you live, why you live, and understand the concept again of family. That's why we're here.
And you know, someone once said, the future is a dangerous place. Just think about that for a minute. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. One of the amazing things about the human race is, in a sense, that no other living thing on the planet is capable of doing. We can bargain with the future. Now, what do I mean by that? I can do things today that I don't necessarily want to do to prepare for tomorrow. Yeah, sure, a squirrel may gather up nuts for the winter, but a human being will think about, if he's smart, what he's going to do 25 years from now. If you're just going into the workforce and you're smart, you're intelligent, you're wise, you're going to start thinking about putting away money now for your retirement many, many years from now. So we bargain with our futures. We do things today that will help our tomorrows be better. But it's very easy to put that off. Stoney's book, Live Now, that comes from two historical quotes. One of them Latin, from the poet Horace. He wrote, Carpe diem quam minimum crystali postero, which means seize the day, putting off as little as possible for tomorrow. And then both of us teach Japanese martial arts. One of the things that the samurai were fond of saying was ichigo ichie, which means one life, one moment. And it's the same thing as the Latin quote, don't put it off, do it now. You don't have any promise of tomorrow. You need to live like right now is all you're ever going to have.
This moment is it.
If you knew for a fact you had a week to live, what would you do? Well, why on earth don't you do that right now? Because you may just have a week to live.
Right.
It's a very good friend of mine who's a big-time businessman from Canada. I used to do a lot of events with him. Casey Comden. Once, when I sat down with him, he asked a simple question. Stoney, how do you cross a minefield? And this is a question about life. And I thought about it for a few minutes, and you know what? I don't know carefully. And he said, you cross a minefield in the footsteps of someone that went before you. You keep going until you see a big hole in the ground. When you see that hole, know that guy made a mistake, and you turn around and you go back and you start again. What we're going to try to do as a group, as International Chrysalists, is clear the minefield for you. We're going to try to show you where we stepped that was successful and where we stepped that was a mistake. If you don't do anything in your life but listen to an older person tell you a story, there's so much wisdom there. The great sages of the world are dying off. And when they die off, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we left that map for the guide through the minefield for you. So if you will please invest a little bit of time, invest in a trip to come see some of our events. We're going to give you everything that we can to help make your life a little bit easier through the mistakes that we make, through the victories that we have. We're going to teach you what worked for us and what didn't work for us, and hopefully make your life easier. We care.
Well, you know, it's just like they say, an intelligent person learns from his mistakes. A wise person learns from the mistakes of others. And we have the generations that came before us. You see these books behind us here. We've got the great conversation of history, all the great minds of antiquity. You can pick up a book. You can see how they lived their lives, what they thought, what they believed, and how things turned out for them. And if you engage in that conversation, you will be able to tap into that wisdom that's the collective wisdom of the human race.